So hello fellow reapers, welcome back to Eat Sleep Reef. Today I'm covering a topic that I've kind of covered already in the past, as many of you may or may not know. Especially if you follow me on Instagram, you know I'm have been battling what I believe is green hair algae issue in my reef tank. So that being said, I kind of talked about a video previously. If you haven't watched that video, be sure to go back and watch that video because it covers kind of what my plan A was, and kind of my method for going about it and attacking it. So I can tell you right now that failed pretty bad actually. I'm going to cover a little bit more what actually happened, but today we're going to be covering plan B. I'm going to share with you guys my experience, what methods I tried, specifically REEF FLUX, which is fluconazole as well. Most people that deal with bryopsis or green hair algae will typically dose fluconazole, which is REEF FLUX. It's the same thing, just obviously rebranded. And people have claimed good luck. You know, I'm going to just share with you my experience, kind of share you what went down in my tank. It was actually quite terrible to watch, and you know, hopefully you guys are able to learn something, specifically if you are battling a green hair algae issue. Hopefully I'm able to shed some light, kind of show you guys a new plan of attack, what my new plan is, and pretty much take it from there. So one of the plans for plan A was to add a cleanup crew that would hopefully specifically target this green hair algae issue. And kind of to blow this out of the water, I can tell you so far it's failed. They really don't mess with it at all. Even when I trim it back, they really don't care about it. Kind of just make their way around it and really just clean the glass and, you know, other parts of the tank. You know, I'm not regretting that I added them because my tank was very understocked with cleanup crew, so I'm glad I do have them. But yeah, I can tell you right now that they did not do the trick. So one of the other plans in the plan A was to add a sea hare. Everybody and their mother were raving about sea hares and said they would absolutely obliterate the green hair algae. Well guys, I don't know what I had or what kind of sea hare this was, but he didn't really touch it. I mean, he touched it maybe for a day, a little patch of it, which I got on video showing you guys in that other video. And that's it. He never again touched it. He actually starved himself. He ended up dying probably about 7 days after that video. Luckily I found him, I was able to get him out, and he stunk like crazy. So if you are going to add a sea hare, be sure you remove him, because you'll surely see a spike in your nutrients if you leave him in your water. So I had thrown around the idea of dosing REEF FLUX, which again is fluconazole. And a lot of people had said it works in green hair algae. Although that product is more specific to bryopsis, a lot of people said it will work great in green hair algae. So I went ahead and dosed it. You know, I did everything that the label says. Turn off your skimmer for the first 3 days. Take out your carbon. It says you're allowed to run GFO. Why? Because GFO exports nutrients, so it's not going to interfere with it whatsoever. So again, I did everything the label said. Within probably the first hour of dosing it, I immediately saw my SPS coral react. I wouldn't say negative, but let's just say not positive. What I mean by that, more specific, my bird's nest, both colonies of birds, the green and then like the bluish one, immediately retracted their polyps. I mean immediately. So I was like, you know what, maybe the medicine kind of floats in the water column. It doesn't really mix with the water, so it was kind of floating in the water column. So I said, you know what, maybe they were just agitated by it, but they really didn't recover until about 4 to 5 days after. Another thing that also happened as far as a negative is a lot of my softies, you can even see here, a lot of my softies, my hammer, my frog spawn, they're nowhere near the size they used to be. Now, one thing I also noticed when I shut off took off the carbon, shut off the skimmer, I noticed a spike in nutrients. So we can maybe blame it on that, or blame it on the medicine. I don't know which of the two it was, but I know for a fact they both had a big role to play in the fact that a lot of my hammers are pissed off. And who knows, maybe they'll never recover. But yeah, I'm not trying to say the medicine sucks. I'm just trying to say my experience and what happened. Like I said, the issues could have been because of nutrient spike, and in return, the corals got stressed. Thus, we're consuming less alkalinity and calcium. So what do you think happened? My dosers obviously didn't compensate for that. So if you were to take a wild guess, what do you think happened? That's right. My alkalinity went up and my calcium spiked to like 530. My alk was at 10. I always run it at 8 to 8.5. So it was a culmination of things that happened. At the end of the day, it wasn't good. And I kind of took the REEF FLUX offline and did a water change, put the carbon back in after about the second week. And you're maybe asking, why didn't you hold out to the third week? Why? Because guys, I'm not kidding, but the green hair algae, or what I think is green hair algae, went nuts. It was actually growing quicker and taking over. Again, a lot of that can be blamed not to the medicine, but the nutrient spike. So the REEF FLUX, the fluconazole, was absolutely doing nothing to the tank. The tank was just getting worse than it actually had ever been. So immediately I said, you know what? I'm not going to continue down this road. I'm going to come in, I'm going to remove it manually, and we're going to start to remove it manually with water changes, just really start attacking it. And that's kind of how I came to plan B, which I'm be covering here shortly. So with that being said, I'm not sure if this stuff is green hair algae. I mean, it looks like it to me. It doesn't look like Bryopsis. Bryopsis typically looks like a fern plant. It has like many stems or many pieces coming from it, which this doesn't. So, and if it was Bryopsis, it would have been killed with the fluconazole because it targets it really well. But yeah, guys, I really don't think this stuff is green hair algae. It looks very close. I'd love to hear in the comments what you guys think it is. I guess my question to you is, what other algae is like green hair algae, but it's not green hair algae as far as the names? I'd love to hear it, so I can target it better. But yeah, guys, so that's pretty much that. So another thing I did, and you can see here, I went ahead and added a second sea hair. I said, you know what, maybe the first one was stressed, maybe he didn't want to eat, whatever the case is. I've kind of been following this guy. I added him 2 days ago. Kind of the same story. He really doesn't touch this so-called green hair algae. He just kind of goes around it. He cleans the sand, but just seems to dodge this stuff. So, I put in a turbo snail the other day to see if it would target it. The turbo snail actually kind of eats this stuff, whatever it is. So I'm kind of happy with it. But that brings us here to plan B. You guys are maybe saying, well, I would have given up by now if I were you. Well, luckily it hasn't really taken over the whole tank. But kind of my plan B here is very simple. So I went ahead and got some Red Sea Nopox. You can see here, this stuff is really good at targeting nitrates. It's not so good at phosphates. It's more effective toward nitrates. It's like a 4-to-1 ratio that it removes them. So it's very effective on nitrates. So an issue that a lot of people run into that have algae issues is your nutrients as far as nitrates and phosphates are undetectable. That being said, my tank has them, about 10 to 15 nitrates, about 0.09 phosphates, and the reason for that was, again, that nutrient spike we had when I did the medicine from shutting off the skimmer, removing the carbon, so on and so forth. So that can be blamed. So my goal here is to run everything as close to, if not zero, for about 1 to 2 weeks. Once that we hit zero, what I'm going to start doing is plucking off the so-called green hair algae from the rock. What that's going to do, there's going to be no more nitrates in the water column, right? Because I'm dosing this stuff. So essentially, once I pluck it off, we may see a spike in nutrients, which again, I'm going to be able to take care of and bring as close down to zero. So essentially, we're going to have the green hair algae work against itself. We're going to really have it starve itself to death. Another thing I went ahead and started using is this product right here. It's made by Brightwell Aquatics. It's called Phosphate E. And this stuff actually bonds your phosphate, and it's a lot more effective than GFO. If you guys saw the BRS video, this is all Worldwide Coral uses, and now I can see exactly why. The other day my phosphates were at 0.09, which is quite high. I did a 0.8 milliliter, 0.8 guys, not even 1 milliliter dose. That thing dropped to 0.04. I mean, if you really look at the numbers, that's actually, it would be cheaper to run this stuff than GFO, not to mention you have better control of it than GFO because you can dose exactly what you need. So between these two products is kind of how I'm going to be attacking it. Again, I'm going to try and run the nutrients as close to zero as possible. So anytime I do pluck any of the algae off the rock, it comes suspended in the water. Thus, we're able to export it from that point, and it won't be able to go to the algae. So again, all we're going to do is really starve the algae. Another cool thing I found, and actually something I really enjoy about the MP10, is a little foam cover. You can see here, I've actually been using this as a filter. I mean, look at all the green hair algae here that's suspended in the water column that's caught here in the pump. I mean, it really blocks the pump. My lawnmower Blenny actually plucks this green hair algae off. I think he eats it, but obviously he's not gonna be able to eat all of it, and that's why you see so much of it suspended in the corals. And you can even see it here, it gets caught here. Previously without this here, it used to kind of get caught in the pump, but now I'm able to catch it here. So all I do here, you can see in the sink, is I clean it, and then I'm able to get it out of the water column. So between the Nopox, the Phosphate E, and the manual removal, and of course the water changes, I'm almost guaranteeing that within a month we're going to be back on track. So of course I'm going to be sharing all the results with you guys. Like I said, the Plan A did not work. It failed miserably. Plan B, I think, is going to be a lot more effective. We're now introducing elbow grease, and I'm actually going to be talking about this Phosphate E in the near future. This stuff is amazing, and I can now see why Worldwide Corals uses this stuff. I mean, you can even supplement it with GFO. Obviously, you won't be using as much GFO as you used to, but this stuff is super effective. This little 250 milliliter bottle will take care of 1,000 gallons of water, which is incredible. So, like I said, I'm gonna be covering that in a future video. Wish me luck, guys. Let me know down in the comments below what you think this crazy stuff is that I call green hair algae. You know, if you have maybe something I should be trying, let me know. But right now, it's going to be Nopox, Phosphate E, manual removal, and water changes. And I can almost assure you guys that within a month, we're going to be back on track with a beautiful reef. And yeah, we're going to leave this video right here, guys. If you guys are subscribed to my YouTube channel, please be sure to subscribe. I really enjoy putting out this great content for each and every one of you. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And like I said, leave me a comment below about what you guys thought. Really, thank you guys for watching. As always, happy reefing.